Welcome back to another episode of Unveiled Paths podcast, episode 16. I'm Beezus.
I'm D-Well.
On episode 16 today, guys, guess who we got? Let's actually ask D-Well. D-Well, who we got on episode 16
Today we got a really good friend of mine. I've followed her forever. She has really stepped up the mental health game.
Oh, yeah.
I found a lot of healing and growth within watching her videos and getting to know her through her lives that she does on TikTok. Today's guest is going to be the one, the only, Allie Harding.
Ooh, let's tune into it.
Recording in progress.
All right, we are recording. All right, so we are back again. Allie, I just want to thank you to allow us a second opportunity. We had a little hiccup on our part on the first one, and we really appreciate you giving up your time again to record another episode with us.
Yes, of course. I believe that this is going to be a better podcast anyway. You know, we're going to talk about better topics. This will be the one.
Oh, yeah.
It's better.
It will be.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to get into a little brief backstory about yourself. You don't have to go into full detail. Just get us up to par to where we can go from there.
Yeah, okay. Well, I grew up and I struggled with my mental health a lot, like going throughout school, high school, middle school. I feel like a really aggressive teenager and I didn't really know how to handle my emotions, but I also didn't know how to identify what those emotions even were. So I kind of tried therapy, I tried medication, I tried a bunch of different stuff to try and like pull myself out of it. My mom was a freaking rock star trying to like help me get through it, but I think that I had just gotten to a point where I realized that the entire time that I was trying to work on myself, I really didn't care to work on myself. And I liked the idea of being like in a victim state because then everyone feels bad for me. And it made my life a lot easier. But I internally wasn't willing to look at the bad parts of myself in order to fix the things that I needed to fix in order to become happy. And so, yeah, I had a huge wake up call that kind of made it so that I had one of two paths to choose, and I decided that I was going to fix my mental health and that I was dedicated to it. And I took like 6 months and really dove deep on myself and what it was that was wrong with me and what I needed to fix and why I was an awful person, and just dive into myself and figure out what I needed to do in order to fix that. And so I started doing it, and I started doing it on social media, and I started kind of talking about everything, and I had shared every detail of my life, all the good, the bad, all the best parts, and every vulnerable moment that had happened to me. And I think now, growing up, when I had first started social media, I thought that was, I mean, it was just a video diary. And then millions of people started seeing it. So I gained millions of followers doing it. And growing up, I started to realize that I didn't have to share every part of my life, because there was so many times where I was like meeting people and they already knew who I was. And I'm like, you already know the most intimate part of me. Like, you know my soul. And like, I don't know you. So it started ruining my connections with people. And so I think I started realizing that I didn't have to share every detail. I feel like I kind of got to a point where I realized that I felt the need to have to prove myself to people, because I would get comments all the time of people being like, what, you were depressed because your dad didn't buy you a Louis Vuitton bag. And I'm like, these people have no idea what has really happened and how bad it really was. But because of the way that I look and because of the things that I talk about and how young I am and whatever, there's a lot of people that have critiques about it. And so I did it as a way to prove myself to people. And I think that I've grown more now that I don't have to do that. And so I'm trying to figure out where the line is for me on social media now, because boundaries and what I want for myself. But that's like the basic rundown. I talk about mental health and relationships and self-esteem on the internet. So
Okay, nice. We appreciate that. I had one question towards the beginning there. And you said you come to that split roads.
mm-hmm.
You could choose one path or the other. What clicked for you that you wanted to go down the path of healing, that you wanted to continue and strive to talk about mental health and help other people out and really dive deep down into what makes you you today?
I honestly think that it was just me getting over myself and just realizing that it's a lot easier to actually be happy than it is to be sad. And as I started doing things that started fulfilling me and I felt like I had a purpose somewhere, it just overall helped my entire life. And I think that I wasn't done here yet. I think I still had more to do. And I understand that now after going through everything that I did. And it's like if I didn't go through feeling suicidal and attempts at it and doing all of that, if I hadn't gone through all of that, I literally wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't have a purpose. I wouldn't have like a fulfilling life whatsoever. So I kind of almost had to go through all of that stuff. And it's such a cheesy saying where it's like, you had to go through it and everything happens for a reason. But truly, my life was built off of the hard stuff that had happened. And so now I'm able to help millions of people. With what I do and talking about all of the bad stuff that I had gone through, I'm able to kind of use that as tools to now fulfill my purpose and helping other people do the same thing. I try and give different perspectives that people don't. It's not the cliche things, it's deeper, how to actually find the root of the problem. And so I think that was just what clicked as I started seeing that it was working, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Along that path, what did you discover within yourself that was maybe an epiphany of that was the route that you were meant to go down?
I don't even know. I think it was just that there was so many. I feel like I'm not good at very many things, but I think the thing that I am good at and what my personal gift is just being able to get through to people. One of my favorite compliments that I get all the time is that people feel comfortable to talk to me, like they feel comfortable being themselves around me. And I find that that is one of the most fulfilling qualities to have because giving space that I'm always going to be weirder than you, I'm always going to be more like I'm just a soft place to fall for people, and I think that that is a very like telling thing to my oh my god, character. But I wasn't always like that. Like that didn't start coming until I started realizing that like the way that I'm thinking and the way that I go throughout every situation in my life is I want to be gentle. I want to be soft with people, and that was something that I really had to work on. And I think that that was what my epiphany moment was, is seeing how other people started reacting when they came around me. It was a completely different switch, you know?
In doing that, you hit that switch. How did you transition from being so filled with all this rage and resentment and I guess for lack of a better term hate that you were able to find the light in that and use that light and that power to help other people out of their dark place? Because that's got to be extremely difficult to really not know what's going on, where you're going, how you're handling situations when you've never been taught and you're learning this all new, but yet at the same time the things that you were pulling in and from yourself and learning and changing, you're using it to better other people and you're changing lives.
Yeah. I think the big transition moment for me, and this is what I was gonna, because I actually had suggested for anyone to go to the impact trainings in Utah. I throw it out all the time because I'm like that's the moment that was different. I started seeing human beings differently in there. And so that was my big. I don't even think they're doing it anymore. I think that they shut it down like right after you went in. But you've done it. So I'm like you're going to be able to understand what I'm talking about, where it's this training program, you go in for 3 days and you walk out a completely different person. And it's just the stuff that they do in there with you. It kind of forces you out of your comfort zone. It forces you into like viewing human beings, how human beings are supposed to be viewed, and we're soft, gentle creatures, all of us. It doesn't matter the exterior that we've got. It doesn't matter the walls that we've put up, the masks that we put on every day. Human beings are soft, gentle creatures that just want connection. And so I think with me being so disconnected from everyone because I was disconnected with myself, it had put me in this spot where I had to force myself out of that comfort zone and really break through that hard exterior that I've put out and realize that's not the person that I want to be, truly. what kind of mark does that leave on the world? So what if me being suicidal for all of these years and one of them had actually worked, there was a realization for me that like I wouldn't like what I think people would talk about me. Like I didn't think I would like what people had to say about my character and who I was. And so I'm like, I'm committed to being exactly who I want to be. And I wanted to be the soft, gentle person, but I had been hurt before. I'd seen parts of people that I made me the way that I was. And so I can only control what I put out and who I am. And I can't control what other people choose to do to me, but I can trust in myself to know that I'll handle it the best that I can when it happens. But I can't walk around just being on defense all the time, you know?
Right. Have you wrote your own eulogy?
No, I have not. I'm working on like a journal thing right now that is exactly kind of what I did. It asks like all the right questions in order to walk you through a full thing. It's a really interesting project because I've never seen anything like it before. It's one of a kind, but I believe it'll be my thing that I'm like feeling really drawn to it lately, and I think that it'll be the thing for me. But the
That's
journal, I
phenomenal.
haven't done any life story yet though.
I can't wait to see it because I know it's going to be epic.
Yeah, it's
You
gonna be
always have
really cool.
you always have some good stuff out there for sure. And so, um,
Thanks.
how has and that impact training? I will say it has it's its own experience for sure. Like I'm speechless even talking about it because you can't really describe it. The closest thing that I could think of in a way to describe it is being in basic training, but it's not basic training.
It's mental
But
basic training,
yeah,
I
it
think.
is. And it puts you through so much. And I think the wildest part for me was everything had a reason. Everything happened within there because of a reason. And whenever you start to reflect and see how everything transpired, you know, you could be telling your story and somebody reacts differently. And it's the way that they react could be based on something that they experienced. And it really draws a lot out. And it's a phenomenon to see for sure.
Hmm. It transforms people, and that's the thing. I'm so sad that they're like not. I don't quote me on that they're not doing it. I just heard from my mom that they're not doing it anymore. But it is such a once in a lifetime opportunity. I've told people I would pay upwards of $50,000 to do it again. Like, and I've done it now twice because the first time that I did it, I went in not wanting to learn a thing, not wanting. I wanted to go on like a business trip, and my mom was like, "You have to do this before you go," because I was still 17. And so I was like, I went in there not wanting to learn anything. I was aggressive, whatever. First like day, I didn't care. I was like pissed off, whatever. I got in trouble in there. It was like a whole thing. And then I went in not wanting to learn anything and it changed my life still, you know? So it's like, it puts you in an uncomfortable space. And I think that that's what the main thing is that people are so scared of their comfort zones and escaping them that they won't ever do it. And so that's part of what my journal is going to include is a lot of stepping out of your comfort zone and doing a lot of stuff, a lot of rejection therapy. But
What was
it'll
the
work.
biggest, and I'm not sure we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to,
Hmm.
or if we can't. I'm not sure. But what was the biggest takeaway in impact that you had that weekend? Like, what was the big aha moment that flipped that switch for you?
I think it was just there was a moment we were doing something in there, and I don't know how much I can even like talk about what happens now that it's done with or whatever. But um, there was one moment where there's people tell you what they think about you, and it's just about like your exterior and like how you come across to people, but their job is to be honest with you. And I remember, and then if they feel like you're being honest about something, like they're supposed to let you know. And I didn't get one person that said that they thought that I was being my true authentic self. And everyone said that I looked like a bitch. Every single person said that I was cold and that they didn't like me. They didn't want to be around me. And they were being very honest with me. And every single person had the same emotion. And every single person said that they thought that I was being inauthentic. And I was. So I'm like, I get, but it's so crazy to see that that's just, these are a bunch of strangers. and they feel that way. They don't even know who I am. And part of your ego wants to tell you to be like, you don't even know me. And that's exactly what I was doing. I was being like, you don't even know. Or I wanted to use the excuse, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what's made me this way and whatever. And I can use a million different excuses, but at the end of the day, it's still a problem that strangers have that feeling towards me. That's just the energy that I give off. And so I no longer wanted to be like that. And I wanted to fix that part of myself so that I didn't come across that way. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job, but I don't know. Just depends. But I want to be known for being loving. And so that's what I strive for.
I know that knowing you post impact, I 100% could not picture you that way.
Mm-hmm.
Although we had a lot of our impact trainings were the same experiences in a sense. Like
Mhm.
during that exercise, I was told the same thing. I was told I would look scary. I was told that I didn't look like I was approachable. I looked like I was, being fake, putting on a facade, all of the same stuff. And that part did like it. Hearing you talk about it just now brought back more emotions that I felt whenever I was there doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a good feeling to have whenever they're doing that. And you are right. Like you want to be like, you don't know me. You don't know what I've been through and all
Mm-hmm.
of that, you know. And I find it really, really wild that we had the same instructor, we had
Yeah.
the same colored possibility buddy,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just wild. And I was not even expecting to be able to stand up at the end of mine and speak.
Yeah, yeah, that was the cool part. I was so excited. I knew it would happen too. I don't know. I always get very excited when people that I know go through because I know exactly what they're going through. And I've had people go through and not finish. And I've had people go through and it changes their lives. And I've had people go through and it's like, yeah, it helped me. I picked up a tool or two. But the craziest part is that I've never had someone fully get through it and be like, I regret doing that ever. It's always so life changing. So it was really cool to be able to watch you go through and like do all of that. And that was a really cool thing. And then we got to talk about it after because there's not very many people that I know that have done it. So it's like I don't get to have this life changing conversation with just anybody. So the people that I can have it with, I'm like, oh, how amazing this experience
Yes,
is.
it was the most amazing thing ever, and it changed me, and I would 100% tell anybody that they need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so those experiences pushed you to further help people, and you've created a huge social media following. You've got millions of people that really look forward to you and your content, and a lot of those people really look forward to seeing your videos and push them through their day. What does it mean to you to see and feel that impact that you are giving other people?
I used to cry about it a lot, actually. Like I used to like sit there and break down being like this is exactly what I wanted because I have videos from me when I was like 13 being like I don't care if I'm sitting there with 200 followers and I was like I don't care if I have millions of people like I want to help people and I have all of these clips from these things and I've been able to make really cool videos with them and kind of show the progress that I've made and that this was always the plan. Like I didn't have a plan B. So it I knew that there was a lot more. I wasn't done on the planet yet. I had more work to do. And so when I started doing this and it started working, and then I started being able to make a full time living off of it, and then I was able to see the impact that it was leaving with people, and I see the comments and I see the DMs from people, and years later, they can still talk about the one video that I made that showed them that they can kind of get out of the place that they were in and what they've been able to do because of that video. I've met people in person that have come up to me and sobbing, crying, holding me, being like, I was looking for a sign. Like, I'm not going to tell her story, but there was a girl that came up to me and she was like, my sister and my mom died in the same week. And she was like, I was looking for a sign not to do it myself. And she was like, I knew that you lived in Vegas, but like, this is crazy. So she like, and I mean, I don't have the pointless interactions. Like I don't have the hey, I watch your videos and like move on. I have the like crying, this is what you've done for me. And I feel like that is so fulfilling. There's not a more fulfilling job on the planet, you know, than being able to like, I sit here and I take a video with my phone on a random Tuesday and it's something that could impact someone or change their perspective a little bit, save their relationship, save their life. And so, you know, it's yeah, awesome. Best job ever, I think.
How often are you reflecting on things within your life and actively working towards it?
Every second of every day. That's part of the training that I had to do on my brain was become so self-aware. So I catch myself in any moment that I'm not proud of and I change it immediately. And so I try to. I mess up a little bit. There's times that I come out of character. Of course, I'm a human being. I'm not like a little robot that's like emotionally stable all the time, for sure. But I do try and live my life that in every interaction, I try and recall how I was with them and what I could be perceived as in every lazy situation. It's like, okay, this is a procrastination problem that I need to fix. Whether it's, I mean, there's so many different scenarios that I check myself and I make sure that I'm aligning with what it is that I want to do all the time. Otherwise, I will fall off track really easy. And I can't allow myself to do that because I have mental illness problems. So, as long as I keep myself as far away from de- depression as possible, so I keep my life fulfilling, I keep doing the things that I need to do in order to stay on top of it. I don't need medication. I don't need therapy. I don't need these things because I'm just trying so hard every second to be better, you know?
So I was live earlier, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I asked my chat what would a good question be that they wanted to ask. And one of the questions that come in, it kind of ties into this here is how do you calm your overthinking mind in dark times?
So I always say I've got two different like analogy things for this. One of them is if I tell you to think about a starfish, think of how many edges it has, think of its shape, its color. I can control your mind from the screen. You just pictured a starfish, whatever it looks like. You were able to control your mind in the moment because I told you exactly what you needed to do in order to come up with the picture. Which then leads into the other one where you can't control a thought, but you can control your thinking. So when the initial thought pops into your mind, it takes practice and it takes like being so self-aware that like when you have a negative thought come in, you immediately change it. You don't have to go down the spiral of it. As soon as you have the thought, you know that this is going to spiral you down into something, change it. Think about something else. Go do something else. Physically go do what makes you happy. So it's just immediately taking yourself out of the thought that you had and control the thinking to go elsewhere. It takes a while and sometimes it's a little bit harder obviously when you're going through like some serious emotional stuff, but you know, it's more about those little thoughts that creep in that you're just kind of like it's not happening in the moment, but you start thinking about it so much that it kind of takes you down and then it just causes unnecessary depression. So
What's the difference between a thinking and a thought?
So your initial thought is one. The thinking that happens after that is just the continued things that keep popping up. So you're think of it as like a line, a dotted line. It's like you can stop at just a period, the one thought, and change from there, or you can add 10 and continue to go down the line of just negative thinking about the one thing. You know? Does that make I don't know if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, it makes sense. I just because I've always been told that we're in control of our thoughts.
Mhm.
And if those thoughts just randomly pop in, how are we not in control of that if we allow it to come in?
Well, it's mine's more like you can't if I'm telling you, this is like where it kind of comes back to like the starfish thing. I'm like, if I tell you to think of a starfish and I tell you to picture it, you're not thinking about anything else. Like you just can't because your mind is already somewhere else. And so you just picture something else, do something else, put your brain somewhere else because it doesn't allow you. I do the same thing with anxiety and counting colors in a room. If you say, I'm going to count all the red things in the room and you start doing it, your mind can't be anywhere else but in the moment. And so it can't travel from there because it's stuck in one spot. And so just doing that long enough to kind of get yourself and your nervous system under control It kind of just takes it away. It stops it at the initial part. The feelings will kind of
Makes
subside
sense.
after
I
that.
get that. That makes sense for sure. So how would you help somebody that is first starting out? Like, what would be some baby steps for them to be able to get into practicing that mindset to pull themselves out?
I think it's just about being self-aware in every moment, every interaction. I think that was like the thing that initially started kind of changing my thought process, because it was like every time I had a negative thought about myself, I would run to the mirror and tell myself 10 positive. So, and there would be times where I sat there for 6 hours because I couldn't come up with one good thing about myself. But I would sit there, like I would force myself to do it. And so, I mean, it's just paying attention to exactly and understanding emotions, because I think a lot of people think of anger as just being angry, but under the umbrella there's 10 other things that you're feeling. It might be betrayal, sadness, confusion. I mean, there's so many things that can go into what creates anger. And so your initial reaction is to be mad, but if you really understood your actual emotions and the actual things behind that, I think you'd be able to solve the problem because you're at the root of the problem, and you'd also be able to communicate a little bit better with other people. So being
So
aware of your
how
emotions and sorry.
how would you be able to decipher, like for me, for instance, whenever I started doing therapy, I had no idea what emotions were. Like I
Mm-hmm.
always felt anger. Is either anger or happy. And so like the first time my therapist asked me, "What emotions are you feeling?" I'm like, "Angry." She goes, "No. That's a secondary emotion. What are you feeling?" I'm like, "What do you mean what am I feeling? I'm feeling angry. Like what's going on?" And so it took me a while to really figure that out, but I also had a therapist. For the people that don't want to go to therapy or doesn't want to do that, how would they be able to decipher what they're actually feeling if they don't have someone willing to help them with the tools?
Because I mean, realistically, it doesn't require help from anyone else. It requires just going inside of yourself and going, this is where it is. This is where it is. You got to think of it as like a compartmentalizing your feelings, where it's like, okay, if someone cheated on me, what am I feeling? I'm feeling betrayed. I'm able to, what do I do with betrayal? Then that's a separate conversation. When I feel betrayed, what do I do? But then if you just put it under I'm mad, it's like, how do you solve being mad? Who knows? Like, how do you, but when you're able to be like, okay, I feel betrayed. So, like, this is a hurt that comes from like something from the past, or that I didn't think that they would do that to me. And then you're also feeling obviously sadness, and you're feeling confused if you have to break up with them or not. And I mean, there's so many things that goes into it. So that's why I think finding the specific ones, you have to go inside of yourself. You have to find every single thing. And I'm a big fan of pen to paper, which is why I'm making the journal, because I'm like big fan of pen to paper to really work out issues. I had like 10 notebooks in my closet back at my mom's house when I was younger, of just like so much stuff. I would be interested to like look back at them. I don't even know if she still has them, but a lot of stuff. It's just working through every single emotion that comes in and out and putting hours into it, honestly.
It's a lot of
Dedicating
understanding
time.
the moment for what it is.
Mm-hmm. Dedicating the time to working on yourself. People want to dedicate the time to like hang out with their friends, go to bars, do a podcast, but a lot of people don't want to spend the actual, like, it's worth the investment to spend the time fixing yourself.
And writing it also allows you to be able to get it out in a different form if you don't want to speak it aloud. But I
Mm-hmm.
also think that speaking things aloud allows you to hear it from a different perspective instead of within your own head. And you might hear it differently than what you're thinking about, even just by you talking to yourself.
Yeah. Because I like to do that a lot too, where I'll write down like how I'm feeling and whatever, and then I'll reverse and write what advice I would give to myself if someone wrote me the letter. So I do that a lot too, where I write it myself, and that's where I'm allowed to bitch and complain and pour me, and I'm sad, I'm upset. But then I write a letter of advice to myself, like as if I was a friend of mine, being like, this is how I would truly feel if I saw my friend go through it, you know? And then that's where I'm able to make a lot of decisions and also sort out a lot of emotions that might be necessary and might be unnecessary. because I give a lot of different advice to my friends than I do to myself, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, you know? So,
Absolutely. I can for sure. I was listening to a podcast the other day. They were saying, if you're able to and in the moment, make sure that you write down the things that you are feeling when you're upset with your partner. Make sure that you're not lashing out. Go on that piece of paper and write down every feeling, get it all out there. Take time to cool down, if you want to, however you want to do it. If it's got to be super ugly, do it super ugly.
mm-hmm.
And then go back and read it and then pick out what's still relevant from that point forward and then have the conversation. Because if you're just mad and upset, you're allowing your emotions to control you and you're saying things that you shouldn't say or you don't want to say. And then you can get all that out on a piece of paper. You can go back, have a conversation, and say, hey, these are the points here that I was feeling during this scenario, and I'm not happy with it. And it would keep the frustration or fighting and arguing down to a minimum.
Mm-hmm. And I think that that would be a really good thing to even incorporate into relationships where it's like, hey, if we're fighting right now, let's separate, let's go do this, and then we'll come back to each other and do it. But the hard part is that there's a lot of people that don't want to do the work for that. They'll be like, that's stupid, I'm not doing it. They'd rather just fight. And so it's like when you can find someone that has the equal want for the relationship to do the things that might be a little bit silly, they might be a little whatever extra, but ultimately it works because you're not coming at anything with anger. So I'm like, if you want a happy, healthy relationship, do the stupid stuff. Do the stuff that everyone in the podcast talks about and do, the things that are actually
Mm-hmm.
proactive.
I overheard Jordan Peterson one time. He was talking about how, you know, most people, whenever they have an issue with somebody and it causes an argument or a fight, they want to blame and point the fingers
Yeah.
at other people. And the reason behind that is most of the time it's easier to make somebody else change than for you to acknowledge that you need to change and make the changes within yourself.
Yep.
And also it validates within yourself that you don't need to change because of what that other person did, that you were in the right and they're the ones that need to change, when in reality it's a whole manipulation tactic.
Yep. I just made a video about that yesterday about how like I'll never be the friend that like I just don't have the bone in my body to sit there and tell people that they're right. Like I will always find a flaw in a something with my friends when they're coming to me for advice. I'll just be like, well, do this, do this. Have you tried this? So but I don't have the bone in my body to just be like, yes, you're right. But I feel like there's so many people, especially with social media, where they feed the ego like that and they feed the like victim blaming stuff, which I get in certain circumstances, but I think it's just been taken too far to the point where we're now making people worse because we're validating things that are insane, realistically. So I don't think that everyone needs to be validated all the time. I think it's okay to tell your friends, like, you're being kind of a dumb idiot. Don't do that.
Absolutely.
Hold people accountable.
Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing too, is holding each other accountable. Like if I'm fucking up and I'm not realizing it, then I'm either one, not paying attention to myself, or two, I just don't care. And that's an issue. And expect my friends to call me out on that. Be like, hey, you're fucking up, dude. Like, don't do that. Like, hold accountability to me too, and I'll do the same for them, or you, or B, or whoever. But that's where we have to take into consideration that we've got to we got to really not bite the hand that feeds us,
Yeah.
because what we're trying to do is change in a way that really, what's the word I'm looking for, that we're really trying to help each other grow and heal and be loving and caring. And you can't do that without having accountability for yourself and your own actions.
Yep. I fully agree. I'm right there with you.
And so going into that, um, do you believe that all the work that you have done prepared you for a relationship? Or do you think that the relationship side of things that are actually meant to be dealt with within a relationship is when it starts healing when you're within a relationship. Because, so for me, for instance, I healed for 3 years outside once I left my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I healed for 3 years and I was like, yes, I'm ready. I've done it. I've done the work. I've went through the thick of it, got into a relationship and found that I was felt like I was back to ground zero.
Yeah.
And so I really, really, from my opinion, I don't believe that you can heal enough by yourself to be ready for a relationship, that you have to be in a relationship to be able to heal that part of you to grow and change within a relationship.
Yep. Yep. You are speaking my language. I like am literally just smiling and nodding the whole time because I'm like, oh my gosh. And this was something that I didn't even realize until recently. But yeah, I was single for 3.5 years. I like didn't like I had little situationships here and there, but I was always like, nope. Like I was so they fuck up one time and I'm gonna leave. And I thought that it was a protection thing for me. I thought I just was like, oh, well, I'm not gonna put up with shit. So things have to be my way, kind of. Like, I'm not gonna deal with another shitty relationship. If they are not everything that I want, then it's a fuck no for me. So I go on and I make these relationship videos for the past 3.5 years about how if it's not what you want, then leave, whatever. Boy, oh boy, did I get a wake up call when I met my current boyfriend because I didn't realize how much work I had to do. And I thought, I was like, I'm a caring girlfriend. I was like, I know that I am. I am very vocal. I try and hit every single love language every day. I'm like, I send the cute texts, I do the little surprises, I'll make the effort, I do the things, I'm super loyal. Like, I thought in my mind, I'm this perfect girlfriend that no one is good enough for. And then I got into a relationship and I was like, okay, I got a lot of flaws because I expect that perfectionism from people. And that in itself is a flaw. I expected someone to show up and be everything that I wanted them to be. Like I was some prize because I've done the work on myself, when in reality, it's like me doing the work on myself isn't a prize to be won. It's just a necessary thing to be in a relationship. Like you should have your emotions in control by yourself to be like all of these things that I thought were such great qualities about me are just like the basics in a relationship. And so when I met him, it was a very like me and him are exact mirrors of each other's flaws and we could not be further from the opposite. Like in every aspect, our social lives, what we do for a living, how we communicate, every single thing that he is triggers me and everything that I am triggers him because this is what I thought at first that it was a compatibility issue and I was like maybe we're just like not compatible enough. But I soon started to find out that he was everything that triggered me. So it taught me to go out of my comfort zone. And all the problems that I had, I realized like I'm super possessive. Like not possessive in a way, but like I want to smother someone and I'm like very affectionate and he's just not that way. So it teaches me that like I can be self-sufficient on my own. Like I can feel okay emotionally without him having to come to me all the time. And like he also is now learning that like he does have to like lean in and be a little bit softer and be a little bit more like caring for me in order for it to work. So we both have to give equal parts in order for it to work. I have to be more understanding, he has to give a little bit more. But it forces us out of our comfort zones in every single aspect. So I'm meeting people all the time with him and like he gets to chill and relax with me where it's like those are the two things that we're the scaredest of, but we force each other to do it for each other. And I think that even just showing that we're able to go out of our comfort zones for each other is a form of love, you know? So I'm learning a lot in this thing. And I also didn't know that I had so much to work on until it was pointed out to me. And I started actually wanting to realize my flaws. And it makes me look back at past relationships being like, there was a lot more that was my fault that I didn't think about and how I could have come across, better and in certain just who I am as a person. I'm realizing a lot. And so I think it does have to be done in a relationship. I had done it's my job to work on myself. and I did the most work that I could out of a relationship. And as soon as I get in one, I'm like, oh, I was not ready to see how much of a crazy person I can be because I haven't had to see it in so long. But yes, relationship issues have to be done in a relationship. I don't think that anyone is going to show up completely healed. And even if you think you're completely healed, you're not. So, and that's okay too.
So within that relationship, when you first started seeing it and you started seeing that you guys were the exact opposite and it was starting to get extremely uncomfortable, what held you there?
I think we had just agreed that I think it's both of us really wanting to see our own flaws and maybe not when we're in the middle of a heated argument, obviously. It's like, this is your fault. This is your fault. That's everybody. But afterwards, we always had really good resolving conversations. Like, so we'll have the initial fight, we'll be sad, whatever. We come back together, we have a really good like resolution conversation. And I think that that was the thing. And we both had to agree that it's like leaving this thing isn't on the table during an argument. It's not an option anymore. And I also had to do my due diligence. Is that the word? I had to do my part in understanding him, that he comes from a very different background from me. And I crave a certain thing that he's not used to giving. And so it's like, yeah, I don't know. There was just a lot that I kind of had to come to terms with. But I think us being opposite, it forces us to work on the parts of ourselves that need to be worked on. You know, I need to be more understanding to things and I need to give a little bit more grace. And I was never willing to do that before, but I am here, you know, and it teaches me in every other aspect of my life to just be a little bit more understanding of people and connect with people and try and get them so that I know that it's not malicious towards me. It's just who they are and allowing people to just be who they are. So,
And see, that's where I view it the same way as well. My thought process behind the whole thing too is the whole red flags thing. Like, what's a red flag to you may not be a red flag to me.
mm-hmm.
I do believe that there are, like, I guess, top tier red flags like cheating, uh, DVSA, like those are things that are very important to know with going into a relationship, obviously. But what I'm talking about is, you know, the way that couples interact with each other outside, or, whether one person does something that the other one doesn't like and you hear nothing but from their friends. Well, the red flags were all around. You should have seen it, blah, blah, blah. Like, but your red flag is different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
So there, I don't really agree with the term red flag on that aspect. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I also think that a lot of people don't see the the green flags in the relationships of people. I think, yeah, when you go and you bitch about your boyfriend to your friends, it's like you're talking about all the shit that's super annoying. Like you're not talking about all like the really cute stuff and like the special. I mean, they're never going to be able to feel the feeling that you have towards someone, so they're talking about an opinion that they have that they've never experienced the full context of. So like it's really hard to take advice. That's why I'm such a big like I rarely will tell people what's going on inside of my relationship when it's bad. I won't even like put myself in a position to be questioned or make it worse, but I just don't even bring that conversation into most of the time. When it's like I like talk about little things here and there or whatever, but I try really hard not to because and if I do, it's only with someone who has his best interest in mind. So it's like who's going to really root for the relationship, not just root for me and have my back, you know? I want someone that's on an
Right.
even playing
Absolutely.
field that is going to be like, okay, but remember who he really is. Like, remember all of these things that he did that kind of, if I have all of these negative thoughts about a person I really don't feel that way towards, I know that I love them. I know that I care for them. My mind's a little skewed right now. They remind me who the person really is and why to hold on to it instead of just affirm everything that I'm thinking in a negative moment, you know?
Right. I agree with you. I don't think any relationship should be talked about outside of that relationship. And the reason for that is most of the time, like you said, you're venting to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from my point of view, you're allowing a intimate moment. It's still intimate regardless of what it is because you're allowing them a piece of you that should only be held for your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you're also creating a false narrative in that person's head, because what if that is the one problem that is horrible? However, the rest of the relationship was completely good and they never saw that aspect. So now they are judging that person based off that one issue.
Yeah.
And now they got an altered state towards your partner. And if you all ever go out, there's going to be that awkwardness there,
Mm-hmm.
that they're not going to treat them right or see them from a different for who
Because
they
they're
are,
not in
because
love with
they're
them. Yeah.
right.
The friend isn't in love. Yeah. Yeah, I fully agree. That's why I'm like, I never want to have that situation where I feel uncomfortable. And I also don't think it's anyone else's business. And I mean, I've definitely had imperfect moments. And I think if he went around just telling everyone like that I snapped one time and I did something that I feel embarrassed about, it's like, yeah, that wasn't my best moment, you know? And so it's like, I think we all have them. We all have things to be embarrassed about and ashamed of things that we've said in the heat of an argument. We all have that. And so it's like, that's supposed to be a you and your partner thing. And I think that kind of going outside of that is just, it hurts the relationship more because it's now outside
Well,
information.
yeah, and that's also why like 90% of affairs happen in the workplace too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you open that door up and you start creating a bond with somebody else because you're venting,
Mm-hmm.
and you start forming a connection.
Mm-hmm. You're getting something out of someone else that you're not getting at home. And so then you step away. Yeah.
Right.
And it could just be the one thing that you need that your partner isn't giving you, but it's like they're 80% good for you and 20% of them doesn't really work. It's like you're sacrificing the 80 to get the 20, you know?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, what has been the biggest eye opener for you in realizing this whole new healing dynamic within a relationship?
Oof. I don't know. There's so many. I feel like learning forgiveness and allowing for mistakes to happen and allowing someone to just be who they are and not trying to force them to do things. I mean, of course, give and take. Yes, I have my love languages that need to be met. And then but I also have to give a little bit and also understand that like not everyone is just going to show up perfect. And sometimes I have to be the person that helps someone else heal a part of them, and that's also cool for me. I'm like, I would love to be the person that like someone opens up to when they never open up to people. They never do that with anybody else, and I get to be the person that gets that, you know. I get the vulnerable side, I get the fun side, I get the like all of these things that help someone else feel comfortable to do that. And that in itself, especially with me caring so much for him, it's like that's a really cool experience to be that, you know, allow someone to kind of lift the shell and realize things about themselves and realize that not everything is so scary, you know. I can use my
I'm sure
my
it's
parts that I thought were so good about myself to be that for somebody else, to be that comfortable spot, you know.
And I'm sure it's an amazing feeling for you to be able to feel validated and feel like you're actually being heard,
Mhm.
compared to previous relationships where none of that ever happened.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of it is standing up for myself. I have a problem with setting boundaries and I have a problem with talking and speaking, so it's like when I can tell an argument is starting, I shut down a lot. And so this one doesn't really allow that. And so because people would just get sick of it. So then it was like I would go silent. They got sick of talking. And so the conversation was just over. And I would sit like that, you know, and there was no resolving conversation. But in this one, I don't really get to have that option. It's like we're talking about it. Like, so it forces me again out of my comfort zone that then allows me to realize that it can be a safe space. But I also got to check my tone at the door and make sure that I'm not being emotional when I talk about things, but also trying to allow myself to even have the emotions during is like confusing. And I think that I'm working on that a lot because I have the space too. But
When you're in those moments, do you realize at a certain point that you're in an emotional mindset versus a logical mindset before you start talking? Or Like, how does that really interpret things? Because one of the biggest things that I found out for myself was if I allow myself to discuss a situation that may have escalated too high, I was always speaking out of emotion rather than allowing myself to cool down and then think logically to go back and have the conversation in a calming and resolving manner.
Yeah, I don't think that I'm not reactive anymore. I'm not at all. I will come at a situation with a hey, can we talk about something every single I check how my approach is, and sometimes I'll spend hours thinking of what is the right approach to bring this up. And so I usually always start with like I'm just overthinking something. Can you help me with this? Can you rewrite this story in my mind? I always know that the things that I have. So everyone kind of gets the insecurity parts where it's like you kind of are like scared that someone's gonna in a relationship cheat on you, like everyone has these that they don't like you, that they so I have these things a lot that happen in my head. I know that it's not reality, so I'm like I'm not ever trying to come off like I'm accusing of something. I just need a story kind of rewritten in my head, and I need to hear it out loud in order to like feel comfortable about it, but it's all just about reassurance. And so I'm just the type of person, I like reassurance all the time, which is why I give reassurance all the time, is because that's what I want. And so when I don't get it, I start kind of overthinking. That's where it becomes a problem for me, but I know how to approach the situation. I also know how to fix the situation. It is very particular. It has to be done this way in order to rewrite this, and it has to. So that was a thing that like I noticed here was it was confusing to him, which it would be. It would be super confusing because the way that my brain works now, that I've trained it a specific way, I have to get it a specific way. So I'm just kind of complicated in that way where I'm like, it's kind of OCD, maybe. I don't want to like self diagnose myself, but it's like just, it can be very particular. And so that I need to learn to be less particular and take what is and take what care and love someone is showing to me and recognize that a little bit better than just trying to force it to be one way, because no one's gonna read the script in my mind that I have for them to like do it the specific way. But if I have to tell you how to do it, then it no longer matters, so learning.
Well, here's that's so that just jogged another memory in my mind or a question because it's been a topic that I've thought of myself for a while now, and you always hear on both sides of the relationship, and I know people are probably going to come at me, but I've heard of a lot of it from women as well. Is men should be able to treat women a certain way without me having to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that to be true, or do you find it differently?
That men are supposed to treat women a certain way.
Like,
Sorry.
m- say say there's an issue, or like a man is supposed to. mm, What would be a good example? So I see a lot of stuff in the on social media about man should know how to treat a woman. I shouldn't have to teach him. I shouldn't have to tell him how to treat me. He should just already know and just step it up and do what he's supposed to do. See, I don't believe that though. The only reason why I don't believe that is because we are all different human beings.
Yeah.
Take the gender out of it, even, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your friends don't allow you to treat them a certain way. They teach you. Everything is taught.
Mm-hmm.
If your friend allows you to continuously walk all over them, what are you going to do? You're going to walk all over them.
Mm-hmm.
Vice versa. Unless your friend puts that foot down. Well, they're teaching you, hey, you can't walk all over me. And I feel like it's the same way. And sometimes it does have to be communicated within the relationship. Like, hey, that's not okay that you treated me like this. Hey, that's not okay that, you talk to me like that. The guy may have not had any ill intentions about it, but the way that it come out, and vice versa. The woman, same thing with a male. If she said something offhand to the guy and it hurt his feelings or it upset him or caused an argument, I think at that point in time, you have to really relate with the person and tell them, be like, hey, like, I didn't like the way that that made me feel. It made me feel XYZ. Can we please
Mm-hmm.
not do that again? It's no different than teaching. Like, I really believe that you have to teach people how to treat you always, because
Yeah.
you're your own individual. You cannot just take a generic group of people and treat them all the same, because people's going to view it differently.
Yeah.
I could say one thing to you, and Brandon takes it completely different. You could have
Mm-hmm.
been like, oh, whatever, it is what it is. And Brandon could be like, dude, that was really fucked up of you to do that. Like, why would you
Mm-hmm.
do that? You know? So in my experiences and what I believe is, I do believe that you have to teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to know how to treat you.
Yeah, I fully agree. Because I don't know about you, but I didn't take the crash course of how to treat people 101 in school. Like, I didn't take this class that's like, this is XYZ, how to treat people. And I also have had experiences where I'm like, something that might have been really great for somebody else, they really don't like, So it's like I'm using these tactics and I'm like, oh, this is how to treat my boyfriend well. When in reality, everything that I'm doing just feels smothering. It just feels overwhelming because it's something that he's never experienced. So it's like it just can come on very strong to some people. And so yeah, there's no crash course, or I didn't write a book about how to treat me that someone's got to read and like do it perfect. Like no one knows how to treat me either. That's why it's my job to, yeah, like you were saying, teach them how to treat you in not only the ways where it's like, this is how you love me step by step. This is what I need from you. Let me teach you how to love me. But also at the same time, like you were saying, you cheat if you come back and you just continue to come back if they're cheating, you're teaching them that they can do that and there's no repercussion. So I think I'm kind of just like reiterating what you said, but yeah, fully agree. Fully agree. I don't think that I didn't learn how to treat men. I just started listening to what mine wants and I start doing those things. I'm doing it in his way, which is his job to teach me. And if I do something wrong, tell me. If I do something that you like, tell me. Communicate with me in every single aspect. Tell me the things that you like, tell me the things you don't like, and I'll try and follow your guideline as much as possible. And that is my way of loving you. That's how to teach me to love you, you know?
Absolutely. I agree 100%. 100%. And so, moving on, this kind of will transition us into the next question that I had. I saw a video that you posted earlier about how men need to, um, well, how do I word this the right way? That, there's no pain, no gain with men. Men are always told to suck it up. Men are told don't cry, and that they shouldn't feel certain ways for certain things and not have any emotions. One, thanks for making that video, because there's a lot of guys out there that I think need to hear that,
Yeah.
because we're not made to be tough all the time. We do have emotions, we do have feelings. It's okay for us to cry. But there are also a lot of people out there that believe the exact opposite. And I don't understand why it's okay for one group of people to feel a certain way, but the other group they can't. And then whenever the men or other group of people feel invalidated, then they become the issue because they don't have anywhere to release.
Yeah. I think we, as women, I think just have become so independent that we think that our qualities of who we are meant to be, they kind of fall short because now we're so used to playing both. So I think that that's where it becomes a little bit confusing. I'm my own support system. Yes. I think that I can handle my emotions. I can sit with myself. I can do that, but I also am providing for myself. So I kind of have taken over both roles where it's like I kind of was in a space too where I was like that. I was like, I'm doing it all by myself. So I had kind of gotten a taste of what it's like, but at the same time, I didn't grow up that way. I did that because that's what I chose to do. That's the position I've put myself in. But I didn't grow up where my emotions didn't matter. I didn't grow up in a spot where it was like to made to feel weak all the time. You know, there was, if any, I mean, I've been trying to dive more into men's mental health in general because the thing is you need a woman to say it. You need the girls to talk about it and show support on this side because we live in such a man hating world. And I'm like, there's such a gift that I feel like men provide that we will never be able to do. So yes, you can buy the house by yourself and be a queen and start the business and make your own money. Sure, do your thing. But there's such a comforting thing when you know that you have a solid guy behind you. And I think that it's the feeling of being able to be a woman, walk around without having to look around and like analyze every surrounding. It kind of takes the weight off. It's like finding someone that really complements that part, and also just looking around
Knowing
and
that your
being,
man's got you.
yeah, I mean, there's just such a special part of that that can't really be replaced. I mean, I'm without my boyfriend and I'm looking over my shoulder every 2 seconds, so I'm like, I don't love that feeling. And so when that does something for me. Like him just being a man does that for me. So like allowing them to be that all the time, like allowing men to just, that you appreciate them just for being them, not for the things that they do for you, not what their potential is, not how good they are at whatever it is that they do for work, but just them being them is such a gift to the world. Like you just being you is such a gift, you know? And I think that gets overlooked far too often. And I think that you need a woman to be the one that says it, that it's like, I've got your back either way. Like, I believe that you should fully be who you are. And I think that that's enough. Even if you're not the provider. I mean, it doesn't make you any less manly. It doesn't make you less manly if you don't have the strongest muscles in the gym. There's so many things that like you guys have been made to feel small about. And I think that just trying to rewrite that, and I would love to contribute. So that's why I make the videos.
Oh, absolutely. We greatly appreciate that. Um, it's very difficult to navigate as a male because of all the backlash, and like you said, a female has to say it,
Mm-hmm.
and we appreciate you doing that. It's hard to really take that in and then yet hear that we are the issues because we're not sensitive. We don't have emotions. We don't care, but they're looking for certain ways. And to really, I guess, like one of the things I keep coming back to is obviously another podcast that I listen to. And which I listen to them all the time. I listen to all kinds of books too. I very, very rarely listen to music unless I'm on live or at the gym. But um, most mostly of everything that has happened to anybody in their life, you can trace it all the way back to two things: judgment and shame.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't dress a certain way. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're going out there looking like that. Shame. You really bought that? You really dating that guy? Judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, that's enough to be able to manipulate somebody into changing their decision.
Mm-hmm. Changing who
And
they
I think
are.
that is, yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do with just people not being happy and comfortable with who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just unsatisfied with, or just the reactions that they've got when they are who they are. I mean, just enough people tell you that you're wrong for liking a certain thing, doing a certain thing, being a certain way. I mean, yeah, enough times of that you're gonna adapt to what it is that everyone else wants you to be, but then you live in a dull world. You live the same day over and over again. You keep the same job. You stay in the same house. You stay with the same wife. I mean, you'll stay in these unhappy positions that really don't fulfill you, but you do it because you don't want to be seen as weak. And so it really puts you in an uncomfortable situation that you don't need to be in. There's been times where like, yeah, the second that people in my life had shown me vulnerability, I leaned into it. Every single time a guy gets vulnerable with me, I really lean into it. The second that I can see the flip switch where it's like, this is the true character, I will feed into that so much because I'm like, this is it. There's been times where like my boyfriend, he got vulnerable with me and I literally went in, I was mad about something. And I was like, it was something stupid, whatever. But the second that I saw that he like got vulnerable about something, I was like, I get it. I like grabbed his face and I was like, you're hurt. I get it. Like, sit in this. This is the way to communicate with me. This is the way that I understand you. And so I'd be very like positive reinforcement that like you get what you want out of me, which is the understanding part when you communicate with me in a language that I can understand. I can understand the vulnerability. And that's what we as women need to understand is the second that we give them a safe place to fall when they're vulnerable, we get exactly what we want, which is the reassurance, which is the softness. We want the like the caringness that comes from a man. You got to be the thing that supports them giving a shit. Because if you don't care, they're not going to try. They're not even going to attempt. And so I think that they just say, like, men just stay in this spot where they don't even want to try. Or the second that they do say something, it gets thrown back at them and it's used as it's weaponized. And this is all just stuff that I started understanding once I started looking into it because I didn't even realize that it was such a problem until I started really looking into it. And it's down to the minor details of how bad this actually is and how much lack of support. And I have videos on it. I'm not going to like dive into everything that I've researched. I've talked about it before, but down to like the smallest details of like how unsupported they are versus like how men are versus how we are. And I think that that needs to kind of be shoved in women's faces sometimes and be like, look at even the little things. You can't even begin to understand the bigger problem on how silent.
Well, it also needs to be shoved in men's faces too, because they have to understand that it's okay to be those things. You know, um, it's from my experience, that's what it's always been. Has always been thrown in my face and shamed for it, and really just you know made me shut down and close up. And I didn't realize what all it was really causing. Every time it happened, I was like, okay, here we go again. So I'm just not going to say that. Every time I got to a point to where I was like, okay, maybe I can edge back in here and be a little bit more vulnerable, it was instantly thrown right back into my face. And finally, I got to a point to where I just cemented everything up and just walking as a shell of a person.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible way to feel whenever you can't even identify the feelings and the emotions that you're feeling because why do I need to? Nobody else is going to validate it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think growing that mindset, even from being such a young child all the way up to relationships, is just drilled into us that we aren't allowed to do that. We are supposed to be these men that are supposed to be brute warriors that walk in and take care of everything and nothing bothers us. But at the end of the day, like, we are human beings as well. We have feelings
Well,
too.
and that just made me think of something too. I'm like, yeah, men were supposed to be that back in the 1940s, and women were supposed to be what? That would not do anything, stay at home wife. You're not allowed to be independent. I don't know when we got the ability to vote. Do you still want to live like you're in the 1940s, ladies? No. We would be miserable. So don't expect men to still live in the 1940s where they are forced to be one way. We're living in the age of social media where they're also being affected by social media. So we wanted to grow and evolve and change, and we wanted all of these things to happen for us, and we wanted all of these privileges. Allow them the ability to be emotional. Give them the space so that they feel comfortable to break that cycle. Everyone wants to talk about generational trauma and how they want to break generational trauma. Let's start there. Let's do that part too. Let's include that. Allow them to just
Absolutely.
be emotional.
Have you ever looked into Universe 25?
No,
You should.
it's good.
Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
basically, what it is an experiment, a science experiment that was done in the 60s, maybe a little earlier. But they took X amount of mice, put them together, gave them everything that they wanted. The males and females both acted normal. As the resources got scarce over time, the women and men started attacking each other and like really not working well together. So they separated. And then the way that, if you really think about how society has gone, is exactly how this science experiment in the 60s happened with mice. They actually did it on
Interesting.
the genders. And I forget how far away that they did. Like it led all the way up to the extinction of that group of mice because they couldn't live together. The women were attacking the men, and the men were just doing their own thing here, hanging out on one side of the cage, while the women were doing everything else and eating. And, they were just two different entities, basically. Women living with women and men living with men. It was Universe 25. It's very, very
That's
fascinating. And
crazy. Yeah, that's cool.
if you really depict, like, as you're looking into it and watching the video, I think the video is like a few minutes long on YouTube. It's not bad at all. It
Mm-hmm.
goes over the gist of it, not the whole total experience, but it gives all the key factors. And you correlate that with how society was back then, what we know back in the 40s and 50s, up to the 21st century, and then how things are transitioning now. It's supposed to predict what's going to happen with us.
Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy to think about.
Very, very wild.
Interesting. We're just a bunch of little rats.
Yeah.
Don't be a rat, everyone.
Right. But
Yeah, that's
you should
interesting.
definitely check it out for sure because
Yeah, I want to.
it's mind blowing. Whenever I first learned of it and I correlated it with the U.S. with like the world and everybody in it or whatever, my
Mm-hmm.
mind was just blown. I was like, oh my gosh! Like it's one of those things. Like once you see it, you can't unsee it,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
cool.
wild.
Yeah, that's wild. All right, well, yeah, I'll have to look into that.
I think it would really like you might be able to gain some sort of content from it too,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, for sure.
explain it differently.
Oh, for sure.
It's interesting. But
Yeah.
we're coming up on close to the end of the episode. So, we really appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. What is one piece of advice that you could give to people who are going through a very dark depression and they're trying to pull themselves out?
I think the main thing, or just the thing that's calling me to say right now, is get out of your own way. Like, literally, just get out of your own way. You're putting obstacles in front of yourself, and the only way to, like, get through it is there. A lot of the things have to do with your behaviors, the things that you're doing day to day. Do something fulfilling, do something that you're proud of. Make your inspire yourself. I mean, get up. There's a million different things that you should be doing that you're not doing. You know you need to do in order to feel fulfilled. Do the things. Get up, do it every single day. Love it while you're doing it. And I think that that's the main thing. Get out of your own way. Do the stuff you don't want to do. Just tell yourself to do it anyway.
Do the work.
One last question.
Okay.
What about the naysayers who say it's easier said than done?
I mean, then live in excuses. That's fine.
Still
Continue
do
to
the
be the way
work.
that you are. That's fine. No one is making you work hard. No one is making it so that you have to live a happy life that feels fulfilling to you. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Easier said than done, sure. Then do it the easy way.
There we go.
You know?
You guys heard it from Allie.
You don't have to be happy. No one's forcing you.
Thanks again, Allie.
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. I didn't know if you had said something and cut out.
No.
But yes, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching another episode of Unveiled Paths, podcast. And, just like always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. We appreciate you.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Unveiled Paths, real people, real stories. Allie's Path.
Peace.
Peace.